6 August 1945. Time 8:15 in the morning. A single explosion, an explosion so powerful that within seconds it put millions of people in Japan into an eternal sleep. That morning became the most terrifying and painful morning in Japanese history. People were heading to their workplaces. Children were leaving for school. Homes and streets were busy with everyday life, just like any other normal day. But suddenly, people saw something falling from the sky. Within seconds, it crashed into the ground. The moment it touched the earth, a massive explosion occurred. Smoke was everywhere. A huge ball of fire appeared. Destruction surrounded everything. For a moment, it felt as if the sun itself had descended onto the earth. At the explosion point, the temperature reached nearly 3,000 to 4,000 degrees Celsius. Then, on 9 August 1945 at 11:02, another disaster fell from the sky onto Japanese soil. After this, Japan surrendered in the Second World War, and World War II came to an end. This was the first time the world witnessed the destruction caused by atomic bombs and the horrifying end of the Second World War. World War II happened because of World War I, but the question arises, how did it all begin? Why was such a massive war fought again in history? Why is Hitler held responsible for World War II? Why did Hitler's Nazi regime give birth to a global war like World War II? And how did the League of Nations, created to maintain peace in the world, fail so badly? World War II, also known as the Global War, was fought on a massive scale, with all major powers participating. The world was divided into two groups, just like World War I. But there, the war was between the Allies and the Central Powers. Here, it was between the Allied powers and the Axis powers. This war was also called a total war. The reason was the involvement of civilians. Before this war, civilians were not directly targeted, but in this war, even civilians were not spared. Civilians supported their countries in every way possible, which led nations to consider common people as part of the war effort. Armies bombed homes, hospitals, shelters, and public places to destroy civilian support systems. Every nation used all its resources against its enemies: economies, industries, scientific capabilities, air forces, and especially armies. There is also debate about the exact starting date of the war. Some say it began on 1 September 1939, while others believe it started with the Sino-Japanese War in 1937. The war ended in August 1945 with the atomic bomb attacks, when Japan surrendered. In World War II, nearly 60 to 80 million people lost their lives. Around 50 million were civilians, and about 25 million were soldiers. Never before or after had so many people died in such large numbers, which is why this war is called the deadliest conflict in human history. The world was divided into two alliances. The Allied powers included the United Kingdom, France, the USA, the USSR, China, Poland, Yugoslavia, and Greece. The Axis powers included Germany, Italy, and Japan. Interestingly, Italy had fought alongside the Allies in World War I, but due to conflicts and dissatisfaction, it later changed sides. Germany was developing rapidly, and its economy became strong. It was a powerful nation, so much so that even knowing a war was possible, Germany was not nervous. One reason was its heavy investment in armed forces. Before World War I, Germany was confident of victory, but the Allies defeated the Central Powers badly. Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire suffered heavily, with Germany facing the worst consequences. The victorious nations shattered Germany, dividing its territories. By the end of 1918, Germany was a defeated, broken nation, with no choice but to accept Allied demands. The war destroyed Germany's economy and society. Political, social, and economic changes followed, creating a huge gap between rich and poor. Unemployment, diseases, starvation, and death became common. Germany had neither a stable government nor money. Its resources were taken by victorious nations. Harsh treaties were imposed, especially the Treaty of Versailles, signed on June 28, 1919. It included humiliating provisions such as war guilt, heavy reparations, demilitarization, and loss of territory. France, sharing a border with Germany, demanded strict measures, including demilitarization of the Rhineland. Germany was forced to pay about £6.6 billion in reparations. Its military was severely limited. These conditions filled Germans with anger and a desire for revenge. The Weimar Republic, Germany's new government, had no choice but to accept the treaty, which made the people resent the government even more. Germany lost overseas colonies, population, territory, iron, and coal. The League of Nations was formed to maintain peace, but it failed. Many countries either did not join or later withdrew, including Germany and the USSR. The League had no army to stop aggression, which ultimately contributed to World War II. Germany already faced economic crisis. To cope, the government printed excessive money, causing hyperinflation. People carried bundles of money just to buy bread. The currency lost all value. Children played with stacks of cash. Seeing Germany's condition, the USA introduced the Dawes Plan, bringing temporary stability from 1924 to 1928. In 1929, the Wall Street crash triggered the Great Depression. Factories closed, exports declined, farmers suffered, and money disappeared from the markets. The USA stopped supporting Germany, delivering a double blow. By 1932, Germany's industrial production fell by 40%, and nearly 6 million people were unemployed. Public anger grew. Faith in the government collapsed. This is when Adolf Hitler exploited the situation. Even though he came from a simple background and once dreamed to become a priest or artist, he became one of history's most brutal dictators. Hitler used powerful speeches, mass rallies, and Nazi propaganda to manipulate people. He promised to change Germany's fate, reject the Treaty of Versailles, and take revenge on enemy nations. The German public was influenced. In elections, the Nazi Party gained power, and on January 30, 1933, President Hindenburg appointed Hitler as Chancellor. Soon after, Hitler passed the Enabling Act, turning Germany into a dictatorship. He withdrew Germany from the League of Nations, reoccupied the Rhineland in 1938, unified Austria with Germany, and took control of Czechoslovakia. Germany's economic situation appeared to improve, largely driven by war preparations. On 1 September 1939, Germany invaded Poland, using a staged provocation. Britain and France, allied with Poland, declared war on Germany on 1 September. Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and Canada joined in. Germany was supported by Italy and Japan. Italy had switched sides because it felt ignored after World War I. Germany initially signed a pact with the Soviet Union, and together they divided Poland. Germany then invaded Denmark and Norway in 1940 to secure iron ore supplies. Soon after, Germany attacked France through Belgium with Italy's support, forcing France to surrender. Britain continued fighting. The Battle of Britain began, but Germany failed to defeat British air power. Axis powers expanded as Hungary, Slovakia, and Romania joined. Germany helped Italy conquer Greece. By 1940, Hitler was at the peak of power, but he made a critical mistake in 1941 by invading the Soviet Union under Operation Barbarossa, breaking the Non-Aggression Pact. Initially successful, German forces were halted by the brutal Russian winter.
the Soviet army pushed them back towards Berlin. Meanwhile, Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, bringing the USA into the war. The conflict dragged on. As defeat became inevitable, Hitler committed suicide in Berlin. Germany surrendered. Japan continued fighting until the USA dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Japan was devastated and surrendered on September 2, 1945, officially ending World War II. Millions were dead, homeless, and economies were destroyed. Nuclear weapons changed warfare forever. After the war, Europe was reshaped. Germany was divided into East and West. Dictatorships ended. Colonialism weakened, leading to independence movements across Asia and Africa, including India.
Under British rule during the war, contributed around 2.5 million soldiers. About 87,000 Indian soldiers died, many were wounded, and thousands were taken prisoner. Resources were exported to Britain, contributing to the Bengal famine of 1943, in which around 3 million people died. After the war, the Quit India movement intensified. Britain could no longer suppress it, and in August 1947, India gained independence. We hope this detailed information about World War II helped you understand history better. If you liked this video, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel.